Greetings folks, Steve here, and I'm out in the garage right now with old Goldie with her shiny looking long block hanging out in there, and I'm doing some pretty satisfying work tonight. What I'm aiming to achieve is to get rid of some of the crap that we're not using in the car, make space for new wiring and hoses or whatever. Tidy up the engine bay a little. Now I'm not doing a lot in the engine bay, but I am removing a whole lot of extra clutter. I got a couple of things kind of piled up here already, like the speedo cable, some old wiring, some cumbersome vacuum hoses and the like. And I'm about to remove the entire engine harness on the car side, and that's going to be very enjoyable to have that out of the way, to get it out of the way and then just see what remains there and all the empty canvas. I gotta say, I'm trying to show a lot of restraint here as I start to remove all these engine harness branches and cables and stuff. I'm just looking at this messy body harness thinking, man, I could get rid of so much of this stuff. Like, I'm using probably 15% of the wires in the body harness of this car. Like, aside from just extremely basic lighting that's required for street use, and I'm hoping to get the wipers back on it and get them usable. Like, all these other wires are just totally meaningless. There's little modules everywhere. I just keep telling myself I need to stay focused on the huge project we have at hand without opening up tons of little side projects. You know, that's the way you get a project going, is to just stop trying to go for perfection all the time. But anyway, what I am for sure doing is pulling out the old engine harness, and let's get that thing hacked up and pull it out of there. Okay, y'all, I might have fallen off my rocker here. I couldn't really get going on the project I wanted to do tonight, so I decided I was just going to tear all the freaking wiring out of the car. So I got a pretty good pile here that I'm working on, and man, I just don't know how I feel about this. Here's the current situation in the car. I've taken the dash out. I've already removed a humongous harness that runs behind the gauges and the up in the dash and down here to this like electrical center right here, and all that stuff's gone, and I'm not gonna miss any of that because none of my gauges were gonna work with the 2J. What I'm left with is the wiring that goes back here to the taillights, which this is gonna stay a street car, so I gotta have lights. But there's a lot of extra crap. Like, you see all these connectors that go to nothing, this little relay thing there, this little box here. Like, I don't care. I don't need any of that. I don't know what that thing is, but it's got wires going to it. So we can get rid of a lot of this shit, but I have to make sure I retain my lighting. I want to retain my wipers because I got to get them working, and that's the connector for that. And my power windows. I have to keep my power windows, and then turn signals, lighting, and that's pretty much it. But this is just such a mess, dude. There's so many connectors and wires. The only way I know to proceed here is to pull the entire harness out, label with this blue tape the connectors that go to something that I want to preserve, figure out exactly which wires I need to preserve said thing, and then just cut the loom and remove every single other wire, like basically one by one. So basically, get the harness out, gut it to nothing, bare bones, retape it, and put it back in the car as it was, and hopefully I'll still have lights and windows and wipers, and then everything else I can totally do from scratch. All this happened because I was trying to find somewhere to mount my relay control panel there, that little thing I made. I was trying to find a place to mount that, and I really couldn't find anywhere because of all this crap that was in the way. And I was like, man, I'm getting stressed out looking at all this wiring everywhere. I'm stressed out. I don't need it all. So now I'm embarking on this whole huge project. It's a project in a project, and I'm really starting to fear that I'm going to become one of the guys who never finishes his project car. All this time, I've always just done the bare minimum to get this car to the track, and somehow I've derailed from that. I'm gonna have to really reel in my ambitions here and try to get this thing wrapped up. But now I'm in a wormhole. I gotta dig my way out and get back to work. So getting all the wiring out of the Z wasn't that big of a chore. You can see how clean the engine bay looks without it. Now I will be putting some of it back in, so it won't look quite this good, but it's definitely gonna look a lot better. So here is harness pieces that I will not be using again. This is like the stuff behind the dash. It went to the gauges, and none of that stuff's gonna work. No matter what I do, none of the gauges are gonna work. So we just nixed the cluster all together. There it is. The little gauge pods there we'll be utilizing because they have my air-fuel ratio sensor and a boost gauge, which sucks. So I'll probably replace these two gauges and then have the AFR. So that'll go back in the car. Over here, this is my engine harness. Now this thing's already been hacked in a couple of different places. There's a little bit on here that I do need because this goes to the headlights. The only things I'm aiming to get off of this is the lighting off of the left front and the right front. I'm guessing these relays have something to do with lighting. We'll see. That's to be determined still. But most of this is going to be gone. So dash wiring, engine wiring, and body wiring. I got the body wiring somewhere around here. Oh, here it is. All right, yeah, that's the rest of it right there. Yeah, this was a little more than I wanted to take on, especially because out of all this harness right here, the body harness, all I want from this is turn signal and wiper switch wiring, taillight wiring, brake light switch, and that's pretty much it. So we're going to be ditching most of this and nearly all of this. We're going to have this fuse panel. So there's a real nice fuse panel there. I might choose to utilize that for some different accessories and things that I don't already have set up on my relay board. They'd be of higher quality, frankly, than what is on my little homemade relay board. And I might choose to utilize that in place of some circuits that might be a little more critical that I'm worried about pulling. We'll pull too much amperage on that circuit board. The total amperage rating for the circuit board that I made is 100 amps, and I have 2 fan controls on there. And just those 2 alone, under certain conditions, might exceed that. So I might change that up, but also I need power source for just little frivolous things like my wideband sensor, my MAC valve for boost control. Like there's little things that I didn't consider when I built the relay board that I might choose to incorporate into the what harness remains and just utilize the wires that are already there and kind of save myself some time and also keep things really clean in the process. I've been working on the wiring harness. I got the engine harness done. This is kind of what I got going on. So I got it all wrapped up in loom. The only wires that are left are the ones for lighting. You can see it's going to go across here. Like it's going to fasten up under the radiator support here and go to the headlight over there, headlight over here. Runs back, big ground here, and then it goes through the firewall down there and inside the cab, and that's where we're going to be connecting to our main body harness, which is the next part I have to do. Took me a couple hours to get this one done. The body harness is the big one. I'm keeping this all loose right now because I'm in all certainty going to be running wires through this loom. You know, I still need to wire in my MAC valve, wire in my wideband, a fuel pressure sensor. I gotta once I figure out where my regulator is going to go. So I'm definitely going to have wires going in here, but that's why I use the split loom. This is just a split. This is a cheap split loom. This isn't even good name brand stuff. This is just off Amazon. I am using a split loom so I can just add wires into this, keep everything nice and tidy, and it won't be a big deal later on down the line because I'm definitely going to do that. So let's get started on the big loom, and I'll kind of give you guys a quick crash course on how I'm doing this. Oh my God, y'all, what have I done? This harness is nothing to play with. And we're going to be removing so many wires from this thing, but it's going to be a lot of work. Nice thing is the engine harness was all covered in oil, and this one will not be since it was actually in the car. So nothing to it but to get going. So I got the old reliable white table in here, the same one I build engines and transmissions on, and today we're using it for wiring. Basically, the approach we're going to take here is we need to get all of this loom, all the tape and stuff off to expose the wires. I've quite simply gone through and just blue taped the connectors I'm going to use. So this is going to be for the door jamb that's going to go to the window motors. So that's an important thing I want to retain. There's more of those over here. This goes to the headlamp switch and the column. Yeah, wiper switch and headlamp. So this is going to go up to the column to those switches that I need. And, you know, there's just a couple oddball stuff. What are these? Oh, these are for the brake switch, which I need for my brake lights. But most of the stuff we are going to be getting rid of. But first things first, we got to just get rid of all of the casing. Everything that's hiding wires underneath it, we're going to have to get rid of because I really don't have a great diagram for this. I mean, I have a diagram for this car, but it is just lines. It's really it's kind of hard to look at and just make much sense of. So the most simple thing to do here is going to be to just follow the circuits. So when I have circuits I know I want to preserve, I'll just go on down the line, removing all the other wires that aren't related to those connectors, and then just thin it out and just be cutting away the wires as we go. And, you know, there's going to be like little molded sections. We're going to get rid of all that. There's going to be little plastic push pins on here. We're not going to try to preserve all that junk. We're just going to get rid of them and find another means to route this thing and secure it into the car. So just one step at a time. It's going to be an awful process. It's going to be filthy. We're going to make a mess, and we're going to just chop the shit out of this thing. But this is the life I chose, unfortunately. So let's get started on getting rid of all of this loom and tape. Alright, so I got all the tape off, and I've already started trimming on some connectors that I know I don't need. I did have to use the diagram to figure out what circuits I'm going to need for wipers to work. There is a wiper module. It's for the intermittent function of the wipers. I don't care about that. There's like an extra 12 wires to run the intermittent function on the wiper switch, and I don't care about that at all. All I want is high and low and off. It's really probably looks a lot more chaotic than it is. We're just gonna kind of focus on one little section at a time. All right, so I combed through everything and laid aside all the wires we're gonna be trimming. And just from this section of the harness, this is how many wires we're getting rid of. By just kind of pressing on, I'm gonna hack all this off. So now that the harness is all trimmed down, I can't really wrap this one because it's so big and there's so many branches. I don't really know exactly where all the branches are going to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay it in here, put all the connectors where they belong, and then I'll start taping it. And what I do to kind of make sense of it all and just make it a little bit more palatable is I'll just put like little rings of my Tessa tape. I use this fabric style tape called Tessa tape. It's awesome stuff. It's very abrasion resistant. It sticks and stays very good, much better than electrical tape, which gets hot and kind of falls off. So I just put a little band every few feet, and I've already done that in a few places that I kind of knew where things were going to be clinched together. Once it's all laid in there and I know where everything's going to fall, I'll put up one of those every 2 feet or so, and then I can pull the whole thing back out of the car. All the different branches and directions it goes will be clearly marked, and then I can start with my my split loom to get it all wrapped up, taped up, and looking good. Alright, y'all, I got the harness in the car, just kind of loosely connected into everything. We're going to have to definitely run some more circuits, so I'm not going to do the total finishing touches just yet. But it's just kind of laid in there, plugged in. I got the battery temporarily hooked up, and let's see if anything works. All right, here we go. I got the ignition off right now, but the headlights should still work. And they do. Marker light's good. Tail lights, license plate. Marker light. Marker light. So I didn't put any thought at all into high beams, and the high beams don't work. I don't know how I missed that. I'm not sure how I missed that. That might be an easy fix, because I'm pretty sure all the wiring for headlights is installed. But I got headlights, so that's good. Shit, what else is even supposed to work? I'm not even sure what else to test. Oh, ha, boys, I got the wiper motor installed. I got to get wiper blades for it and like figure out the timing of these. But let's see if the wiper motor works. So this is one that was a lot of extra work to try to make work. Well, damn it, boys, I did something wrong. So when I turn my little switch on, I have windows. So that's pretty big. I got basic lighting, so that's pretty huge. Like those are really the two big things I did not want to lose. But my turn signals aren't working. And I have my flasher wired in. I should have all my turn signal circuits intact. So I'm not sure why that is. I might just have to do some quick diagnosing there. All the wires should be in place. So that's something to look into, but also my wipers aren't working, and that just breaks my heart, because that's another one. There's there's a lot of circuits involved in the wipers, and I did get rid of the intermittent circuits, but I don't think that would be 100% necessary. There must just be something else going on. So I'll probably have to spend some time diagnosing those two systems. I just feel so behind on this project. I got to be at IFO in a month and a half, and man, I really just have to make the decision if I do all my diagnosing on that stuff now while I have the dash out and everything, or do I just push forward with the main project. I'm going to run into more problems once I try to start the engine, get the engine running, test the transmission. I still got to get a drive shaft made. I got to get the Mega Squirt in. There's going to be tons of trial and error there with getting the Mega Squirt set up for the 2J. I have to create a throttle pedal and linkage situation for the intake. I mean, I got to run all the wiring between the Mega Squirt to the engine. The engine harness is good, but I have to basically make an entire harness to go from the module to the engine. I have to install my relay box that controls everything. I got to wire in my dump valve and my trans brake. Like there's so much to do. And I don't know if I want to chase around wipers and turn signals right now. That stuff's just not that important, honestly. And I could always go back and look at it later. So I got to think about that. It's going to drive me nuts, though. I don't know if I'll be able to leave it alone. So here's how the harness is at the moment. This is all, this is going to be up here, all nice and tidy. I wired up these two relays for supplying power to the fuse box. So the fuse box has several power feeds, a couple that are hot at all times, they come straight from the battery, and a couple that get power from this relay. I added this relay, that's a 100 amp relay, and I'm gonna use that to supply power to my relay box. That houses all my relays for trans brake and dump valve and fuel pump and Mega Squirt and everything. So it'll all go through that relay that's controlled by the ignition switch. And so all that seems to be working just like it should. All right, so I just got done installing my fuse block. Got it fastened to the firewall up there. Or my relay block, I should say. There is a bunch of fuses in there too. That'll be power supply for the dump valve, the fuel pump, alternator, VVTi, injectors, coils, radiator fan, trans fan, all that stuff's right here on this plate. And it's gonna be nicely out of the way. I know it looks kind of bulgy right now, but once the dash is back in, you won't be able to see it really at all. It'll just kind of be tucked up into there. Even passengers, I don't think it'll really affect their foot space at all. And then I got the Mega Squirt mounted right here in the middle, and its harness is going to be snaking up through here and going out the firewall there to go to the engine bay, to the engine harness. And from there, I'm kind of stymied on wiring stuff. There's not anything else I can really do in terms of wiring until I have the engine harness installed, and I can't really install the engine harness for the final fitment until I have this intake sorted out. And this is the pile of stuff that I've removed from the Z. Harnesses, relays, modules, some sound deadening, but mostly just a whole bunch of wire. I'd like to weigh all this and just see how much weight I cut. Just me, fully clothed, shoes and the whole like, right at 190 pounds. $216. Oh, 26 pounds. Hey, not too shabby. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, follow along. I got another video coming at you soon with some more engine work and just moving further along with Old Goldie's project. But that'll do it. We'll see you later.